Hi, I'm Mark Robinson. This week's topic is all about superannuation. And the key about your superannuation is all depending on what age bracket you're in and what you actually think superannuation is going to do for you in the future. Now, I have a little bit of a conspiracy theory and I'm going to share it with you straight off the bat. The bottom line is there is millions and millions of dollars, billions of dollars inside super at the moment, and us, the public, control it. Now, what concerns me in the future is you've got your baby boomers, your X generation and your Y gen, right? And believe it or not, the baby boomers are the biggest population. The next biggest population isn't us, the X generation, it's actually the Y generation. And that really concerns us. And if we've all employed Y gen, and I am generalising here Y gen, so don't click off now, it's all good. But the bottom line is when the balance of power goes from the baby boomers through to the Y generation, there's the concerns that we have, especially for us as X generation. What I mean by this is when there's billions of dollars that are in the control of the public and the government starts spending like they have, and already what they've done is started to tinker with the retirement age from 65 to 67. Now if that goes ahead, it's really going to give us even a stronger point when it comes to this little conspiracy theory. So what I mean is basically when we go to retire in 30, 40 or 50 years time, depending on where you're at. Now the baby boomers, I believe, are pretty much okay at this point in time. But the government owes billions and billions of dollars. So there we have billions of dollars sitting over here that the public actually control. The government owes billions and billions of dollars. What they can look to do is actually get they can turn around and have it so that they get legislation in place and go, hey, guess what, Y generation, or that's who I'd be targeting, you have now the balance of power. How about we'll give you a free iPod for life if you allow us to control the superannuation. Now, hey, I know I'm being a bit facetious there, but it's all cool. But if you think about it, why wouldn't the government want to control these supers? So I put $2, $3, $4 million into my super fund, I'm about to retire, and then all of a sudden the government turns around and says, you know what, Mark, you can't have a lump sum payment and use it how you want to use it. What we'll do is we'll give you $200 a week until you die. Think about that. What a lot of people don't understand is your insurances can actually be paid for out of your superannuation. So things like your life insurance, your TPD, total and permanent disablement, and your income protection, most of the times can actually be paid for out of your super. So why we use that strategy, especially for property investors, even PAYG and business owners, is because it doesn't come out of your cash flow. And because we don't know whether we can actually get hold of our super in the future, it's a good way to help use it to protect your wealth now. So lay the foundations, whether you're just starting out, you have no properties, or you're not building a business, whatever the case may be, right? Get your foundations sorted. And by using your insurances and then getting your super to pay for them is a great way and a good strategy to protect yourself moving forward. There's no better way that we believe is protection. It's a key component to it all. Now, it doesn't mean that we've got to be a little bit careful there, because if you're not going to create wealth in a controllable environment, i.e. outside super, then we've got to make sure that at certain steps we review yourself so that you're not spending all your money on insurances and then end up having nothing at the end of it. Okay, we're very cautious of that fact as well. One of the greatest aspects of actually having superannuation itself is that in most cases, creditors cannot touch your superannuation. So it's actually the best wealth protection strategy for your assets that there is. It's a good way to sort of, in terms of estate planning as well, you have far more control of what happens with your super, all those sorts of things. So what I mean by that is, if you're humming along nicely as a business and then something just happens to, affect your business, providing that you haven't dumped all your cash into your superannuation to avoid your creditors actually can't touch your superannuation. If, on the other hand, you have dumped all your money inside super and then you've gone bankrupt or whatever the case may be, the judge will actually unwind all that, take it out and pay the creditors. So on a normal case of business, you'll find that it is actually a great way to protect your assets should something unforeseen happen within your business. Controlling your super is one of the key parts of your wealth creation strategy and also your wealth protection strategy. They run hand in hand. without control of your assets, you might as well just give it away. You know, the amount of people that I've spoken to who lost thousands of dollars in the latest crash, it was all about control. One of the things we like to do here with Acquire is actually give you the ability to control your super yourself. And when you ask us to, we'll help you, show you how to actually take more control of your super. The biggest thing you've got to realise though is even though super is something that we want you to control, it may not be the best area to actually focus your attention on depending on your age bracket. So there's no point a 20-year-old focusing 3, 4, 5 hours a week on their super when they're not going to touch it for 45 years or never be able to touch it. So we've got to balance that out in terms of how much control you want of it. One of the things we look at though is you do need to have more control. So, the current industry funds out there at the moment, they all claim that there's low fees and no fees and all those sorts of things. However, I was doing some research recently on quite a few of the large industry super funds, and most of the trustee companies are actually owned by private companies, right? So you've got to be careful in the fact of, hey, they may charge low fees, but I'd charge low fees too if I had a couple of $1 billion under management. 0.1 or 0.2% of $1 billion is a lot of money. And that's where people sort of start to look at and go, well, should I use a financial advisor? Should I use an industry fund? It's all about control and where you want to be with your assets. I feel you need to be in control. Get into a position where you can sack your financial advisor and take it over. That's what we do. We show you how you can do that. However, my clients are still with me because they don't want to spend the time on actually looking after their super. That's what we do. So, right, they're far more out there buying properties, building businesses, whatever the case may be. We've got to look at how much control do you want. However, we use certain platforms that you can actually have that sort of control. You can buy and sell shares inside super. You might be in a position where you may want to buy direct property. Well, we'll show you how to structure that. And the cool thing about that is you don't need a self-managed super fund to do share trading. You don't need to do that. There's ways around that you can do it without all the compliance that's there. And that's something we can show you as well. By having your insurances inside your super, it's a twofold effect. One, you're protecting for yourselves of what you can't afford to lose. And then the other thing about it is you're then gaining more control over your super. So you actually then can turn around and get everything that you need in the one package, so that wherever possible we try to simplify everything. Otherwise, you might have some life insurance with one company, your TPD with another, and your income protection with another, and then most people have got 3 different super funds. The funny thing is, there's actually 10 million individual super funds out there. There's only 3 million employees. So we're actually got, on average, 3 funds each. That's incredible. You're paying fees on 3 different funds. Now, some of the industry funds and other funds out there actually pay fees or have fees up to a certain amount of money. So you might, if you've got 10 grand in 3 different accounts, so you've got 30,000 overall, if we actually combine those, you actually may pay no fees, but at the moment you're paying fees on 3 different super funds. So, that's where we can help bring them all together and really create a true wealth protection strategy moving forward. Using your super, but paying for your insurances, ultimately gives you a greater control over your superannuation and your wealth creation. This installment, it's all been about your superannuation and how we can actually get your insurances paid for out of there and how you can have more control. The next installment is all about estate planning. And this is where you've got to be very, very careful, because quite often we hear people say, hey, look, I've got a great will. Now, the funny thing about when, we don't like talking about what happens in, because we all think we're bulletproof and things are going to live forever. We all know that's not the case. So with the next installment about estate planning, you may find that you've got a great death plan, as we call it, but that's going to potentially could be a lousy tax plan. So that's where we look to combine the two in an estate planning so that we can actually have an effective pass on. So until then, guys, see you next time. Don't forget to click on our bonuses as well.